Okay, great, we're recording. Lovely. So welcome everybody to the webinar. Thank you so much to those people who attempted to join live. I'm so sorry, we had a technical hitch. We couldn't connect as co-hosts, and so unfortunately I had to end it on that platform and then come onto a different platform to record it. But I really appreciate everyone who tried to watch live, and thank you very much if you're watching the recording as well. So good evening, my name is Louise Wilson. I am a personal trainer and nutrition coach. I run my own coaching business called Elemental Coaching, and I'm here this evening with my very special guest, Paula Stuart, and we are going to talk all things wellness through the menopause and how to thrive through the menopause naturally. That's what we're here for this evening. So, Paula, thanks so much for joining me this evening. Hi. Could you please just give us a bit of a background, bit of an introduction to yourself and what you do, and what really kind of inspired you to try and support women to go through the menopause without HRT, if that's what they choose to do?
So hi, yes, I'm Paula. I'm a registered learning disability nurse and I'm 53 years old.
Wow, you definitely don't look 53. That's amazing. I hope I look like you when I'm 53.
So the passion for the menopause has come about, I think at age 40, around that, I thought I was going through the menopause then, had some blood tests, inconclusive, put it to the back of my mind, got to lockdown 2020, aged 50, I think 52, yeah. So I got to 52, nothing, was exercising, doing all the things right. And then something just hit me, started having palpitations, or having hot flushes, or having night sweats. And I never thought about the menopause, to be fair, because it isn't something that we think about naturally. So I just thought, what the hell is going on? And then I clicked and thought, although I'm a nurse, we don't train in the menopause. We do our branches and we don't train in it. So it was going through it myself and finding ways to really sort of thrive through it. I thought, well, there's women out there that need to hear and just see that it can be done. I'm not advocating that everybody can do it naturally, but for the way I see it is, your body is your organ, and if you look after it right, you can do all the things that it's supposed to do. So my passion for helping women has come about. I work on a woman's estate, female estate, and I support those through it, all women, regardless of whether they've got a learning disability or not. I support all the women, and I'm really now talking to them more about how to look after themselves. And I just think, I hear so many women crying out about how they're affected by the night sweats and the hot flushes, and it's more than that. It is totally more than that. So that's why I just thought, let's help women thrive and let's help them do it the way they want to do it.
That's brilliant. How fantastic. Awesome. So you've mentioned there, there are the symptoms that everyone's familiar, or lots of people are familiar with, hot flushes and so on. But like you said, there's so much more to the menopause, and there's so many things that people can go through. And so I, like with my background as a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, obviously I've had a certain amount of training in, what nutrition is advisable for people through their 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on, what kind of exercise is particularly helpful for us at different stages of life. And so, but I haven't had any, specialist training in the menopause, because that's not something that we necessarily get. But I do work with women who are going through that phase, or who are near to it. So I'm definitely keen to learn, and I'm not that far off. So I'm definitely keen to learn more. But we're going to have a little test of I put my neck on the line. We're going to have a little test of my knowledge first, aren't we? Or lack of, before we go on to the next part. So Paula's going to give me a little quiz, just a little one. And for the benefit of viewers as well, be interested to give you a bit of a gauge of where you're at in terms of how much you know. And hopefully there'll be some interesting bits and maybe some surprises in there as well. So my heart's beating.
If your heart beating, you'll get them when you start going through menopause.
So yeah, let's go.
So, first question is, what is the average age of women in the UK that reach menopause? So what's the average age that women in the UK reach menopause?
Right. Oh, that's tricky. I'm going to say somewhere in the 50s. I'm going to go 57. 55? No. So 55. I'm going to go 55.
Taking your first answer. So the average age is 51.
51.
that's the average age, but it could
Right.
start anywhere. What we're finding now is women are starting even in the 30s. So that's just a rough average age. And I don't think they've really probably gone and done the average means here of late. I think if they were to do them again now, they may get a different answer. But that is what they're going with. The average age is 51.
That's really interesting. And like you say, it can start at any age. And I guess the length of the process can vary a lot as well. So some people could start, the symptoms might start much earlier than others and build more gradually. Some people it might hit fast. But we'll learn more about that later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So 0 out of however many so far for me.
So what is the key? Actually, I need to give you, what I'll do is I'll give you the answers so then you can write. So what is the key sign that you have reached the menopause? A, you start having irregular periods. B, your period is very light. C, you haven't had a period for at least 6 months. Or D, you haven't had a period for at least a year.
Oh, I guess any of those things could happen, but I'm going to go with D, because I guess there are other things, like as a coach, as a wellness coach and a nutrition coach, I know there's a lot of things that can interrupt your menstrual cycle, and there's a lot of reasons why your period might change or stop for a short period of time, other than pregnancy, obviously, but there's other factors as well. So I'm going to go D.
And that is correct. So yes, the key sign is you haven't had a period for at least a year. However, some women may have intermittent periods. So it's 12 months after your last period. And I would suggest women when they start having erratic periods, start logging those dates. That's something that I missed.
Yes.
So if you start logging your erraticness, and if you get to 6 months, you think, that's 6 months, you get to 9 months, you may think you may be on your way. And it's good to have that definitive answer. As to, that those 12 full months. And if you're logging it and you've got 12 full months, you should be, menopause is just then one day, and then you are postmenopausal.
Right. That's how it works. Yes. And actually there's loads of apps you can use out there to track and log your periods. So I use one called Flow, which is it's a free app and it's really easy. And I think actually for women that can be a good thing to do, just from a health and a wellness awareness point of view anyway, whatever stage you're at, because then if you do start to experience any sorts of either period related symptoms or other symptoms, you know what's going on with your menstrual cycle, and that can
because there's really lots helpful. Of other things. There is like premature ovarian insufficiency, where someone may have had a child, but then they may experience other issues along the way, which could be a whole host of other things. So I think it's a good thing to track your menstrual cycles, because it can give the doctors or your healthcare practitioners a really good look at what's going on.
And the app I use, all you do literally is just on day one, you just hit one button and you're done. So it's really easy. So I don't have to input a lot, don't have to log. You can log symptoms and things if you want to, but I literally just log day one and then that's there. So that's a good thing to do.
So you got that one. So that's 1 out of 2. So which of the following statements is true about the menopause? A, it doesn't ever cause any symptoms. B, the symptoms are only mental. C, the symptoms are only physical. Or D, the symptoms can be both physical and mental.
I'm definitely going to go D on that one. Because
and that is so true. Physically and mentally, it can really, really exhaust a lady. So, and maybe your partner, if you're sleeping with your partner too, because you're keeping them.
Get them back for all the snoring that they've done over the years.
So question 4, which of the following could cause the menopause to begin early? Surgery to remove your ovaries, that's A. B, being overweight. C, being underweight. Or D, eating a poor diet.
Oh, that's really tricky. Can it be more than one of those, or is it only
not
one?
Really, no.
So if it can be only one of those, I'm going to go for A.
And that's correct.
Okay.
So what they find is hysterectomies bring on early menopause.
Yes, I do actually know someone who's experienced that, which is why I was aware of it. I had a client who
the ovaries are being removed. Then obviously estrogen is made in the ovaries, so and testosterone. So then it would have a real big impact. So if somebody has if somebody has a hysterectomy at the 30s, they will go straight into early menopause.
Wow.
Which is a lot for a young woman.
It's a lot to cope with.
So question 5, which of the following isn't a typical symptom of the menopause? difficulty sleeping A, hot flushes B, low mood C, or increased sex drive D. So it's not a typical symptom.
Yeah, I'm going to go for D on that one. Not because I read the answers to the quiz, because I didn't read any of the answers, but I did read some of the other really interesting background info you sent me, and that was one of the things that I remember reading. So yeah, I know it can affect libido. Definitely.
Yes, a lot of women say their libido goes off the trot, and that's, again, everything's going on for them. Lots of things are going on.
Yeah.
So question number 6: which of these might help cope with hot flushes? A, keeping cool, B, eating spicy foods, C, dressing warmly, or D, having a hot drink?
Definitely keeping cool.
Yeah.
That was for the benefit of me, who hadn't had any, in case I didn't get any answers right. That was the one that I was going to be able to get right.
Yeah.
That's really kind of you.
Spicy foods can exacerbate hot flushes.
Well, see, there is a myth around that, isn't there? That if it's really hot, you should eat spicy foods. That's like, I've been in countries where I've been traveling, and people say, "Oh, yeah, eat really spicy food. That's great if you're feeling really hot," but it doesn't work.
Not with hot flushes, because no. It can exacerbate it. And question 7: how long do hot flushes usually last? A, no more than 2 seconds. B, up to a minute. C, several minutes. Or D, a few hours?
Oh God. I have no idea. God, I hope not 2 hours, for the sake of anyone that experiences them. I'm going to say a few minutes.
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, several. Yeah, so question, yes, C. Yeah. Yes, you've not done
that's
too
a long
bad
time to
there.
be uncomfortable for, isn't it?
Sorry?
That's a long time to be uncomfortable for, putting up with the
it's still a long time. I think
Yeah.
I experienced them about 30 seconds to a minute, and they feel like mini volcanoes. They do. Yeah.
Wow. All right, so I didn't do too badly on the quiz.
No.
I know everybody watching did. All right, thank you for that. So we're going to talk through in a bit more detail now, go back to some of those things we just mentioned, and talk through in a bit more detail about what's going on and what we can do as women to kind of support our well-being through that period. So, or lack of period, that was a really poor choice of word, through that time in our life. So, Paula, like most of us are likely to understand that, the menopause might be gradual. It can start at various ages. We know it's about hormones, and we've probably heard about hot flushes. But as you mentioned before, there's so much more that can be going on, and there are so many more symptoms. So can you just tell us a little bit more about what's going on in the body with our hormones, and what are the range of symptoms that people might experience when they go through the menopause?
Okay, so I did a bit of reading, and I never knew that we had over 100 hormones in the body.
Yes,
and that's a lot.
I did know that. Yeah, it's incredible.
It's a lot of hormones. So the main ones that the women need to be sort of like interested in is estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, and actually cortisol as well, because that's your stress one.
That's your stress, one of your stress hormones. Yeah.
Estrogen is the one that maintains your reproductive system, but it's also your bone health, your heart health, and your cardio. That's all about your health.
Yeah.
So that declines along with your progesterone, which maintains the menstrual cycle and helps the womb lining thicken to accept eggs for fertilization. So if it doesn't, you're going to have a period. And then we've got the testosterone, which we've got half the amount of men. So men have, we have about 1/20 of what men have. Yeah. So all those are working together to keep us at optimum level. So whilst we're going through life, the estrogen, we have to let go of the estrogen monthly. So we do have to let go, but as we get older, it decreases. But all of those work in conjunction just to help you keep going. Yeah. So, but testosterone,
saying that what we call homeostasis, that nice stable state.
As we're going through life, as those are decreasing, things start to exacerbate. But testosterone, which you don't think you need, is your fight or flight, and it's your fatigue, and it's your concentration, and it's your mood. It's also, your mood. So that is also really paramount. But estrogen and progesterone are our main ones. Cortisol, what women notice when they're stressed, and we talk about the belly fat that we accumulate as we get older. Yeah. So there's the cortisol one as well. So we have to be really careful. So that's all that's going on in the body, is that your body's working, releasing eggs monthly if we go through a cycle. But as we go through life, as we start going through life, these hormones start reducing.
See, that's really interesting, because like with my nutrition coach head on there, I know, for example, that women, particularly in our kind of 50s onwards, we need to be mindful of making sure that we really look after our bone density, and that our diet really contributes to good bone health. That obviously then is because it's the estrogen declining.
Estrogen leaving.
And estrogen is one of the things that supports our bone density.
It does.
And then cortisol as well. I didn't realize it was so linked to the menopause, but it is definitely linked to higher propensity to gain weight.
Yes.
In later life. So all these things are all really interconnected, aren't they?
They're all interconnected. And we're also our gut is well connected with that, because the estrogen, so you've got fungi in the gut, and you've got estrogen, which is and it's classed as estrobolome. So whilst that's trying to leave, if that's not leaving well, that can back up in the gut and in the system and go back around the system. And we don't want that. So what we need to be doing is ensuring that we're detoxifying, and we're trying to keep our body to the optimum, so that all these hormones are going out of the body in the way they should, so that we can just get on with life in the way we should. And if
so presumably supporting our gut health and the diversity of our gut flora is going to help with that.
Yes, definitely. We've got to keep the gut working well, because if you don't keep the gut working well, that's where everything's stored.
Can't metabolize the hormones and get them out.
In there. Definitely.
Right, blimey. So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So then the second bit of that was about the range of symptoms. There are 3 stages of the menopause. So you've got perimenopause. So this is what the ladies feel around the average age of around 40, and some in the 30s. And you're going to notice there's about 8 to 10 symptoms with that. So you've got your hot flushes, you've got breast tenderness, lower sex drive, fatigue. Your periods then become irregular. Some women notice vaginal dryness, but they don't talk about it. Urine leakaging, when coughing or sneezing, palpitations, restless legs. So we've got all that going on, and you don't get all of them, but you might notice 1 or 2. But there's about 8 associated, and sometimes people say there's more, but there are 8 prominent ones that are associated with perimenopause. And that can last anywhere between 4 to 6 years. It just depends on when you start. That just depends. If you're going into your early 30s, it could last a long time. You're going to your mid 40s, by the time you get to 51, things should be slowing down even more. Unless you've got fibroids, and that's another whole different
another area of complication. And
then
you've got the early menopause. What about the next stage?
So you've got your perimenopause, you've got menopause. There's about 34 symptoms.
Wow.
So many. Oh God, there's about,
no idea.
So that's when you can get brain fog, concentration, the mood swings, the night sweats, the bladder weakness. You've got bone loss, you've got depression, headaches, bloated, irritability. And this is where the bone, I'm talking about bone density and osteoporosis. You get electric shocks. People say they get burning tongue.
Really?
I never had that. Problems with the gums, definitely. So this is where we need, when we talk about also gut health, collagen, because as much as the protein in the body is also leaving, and that's the collagen bit. And you'll notice, people notice that the gums are receding. So if you don't have really good gum health, that is another issue in the menopause.
That's interesting. So, and collagen is, so collagen is a protein that we through our bodies. So it's in pretty much all of our tissues, organs, tendons, skin, ligaments, muscles. Like it's the most abundant protein in the body, isn't it? So it kind of literally holds everything together. And so I guess if our collagen production, because we produce collagen ourselves, it's not something we take in, we produce it. And if that production is going down, then things like our gums,
joint aches, inflammation, gut health, brain health, skin health. Because again, what they don't mention, the dry skin, the acne, because obviously when you getting hot flushes and night sweats, you're losing lots of water. So you've got to really keep hydrated. But then your skin starts to sag. So you need to start replacing some of that nourishment with things like collagen to just help keep you healthy. And then also allergies, sensitivities to certain foods then come in menopause. So you might not have sensitivities, but you do sometimes develop them. I can still eat nuts, but I've got to be really careful. because
Really?
I can feel a tingle, and I sometimes get a bit of a cough and a dry, something
like a slight
cold.
anaphylaxis.
Yeah, it's like a bit of an anaphylactic shock. And I ate something the other day, somebody brought something to work, and I'd got, it made my lips tingle. And she said it was a chickpea, some sort of pie, vegan pie.
Oh.
But I had a reaction to that. So you've got to be really careful about how we look after ourselves and what we eat and what we notice about our bodies.
Yeah.
Because it's about, if you don't notice it, you think, it'll be a sign of the menopause, but you just got to be careful. I'm not saying don't eat things, just be careful.
And we do know as well, as nutrition coaches, we know that our gut, going back to the gut again, we know that the balance of the different types of the microorganisms in our gut changes with age, and that sometimes that keeping that balance, that's keeping a healthy balance, becomes more difficult in our 40s. It becomes a bit more difficult again in our 50s, and that could predispose somebody to a slight intolerance that they didn't have before.
Yeah.
So it's, it might be partly a menopause symptom. It might actually just be a symptom of our body changing as we get older. Yeah.
And there's also changes in body odor and tight muscles, hair. People notice the hair start falling out, the hairline starts receding, and that's women. So there's a lot of
that's the collagen. Is that partly the collagen problem again? The hair.
I think that's the hair. And your estrogen loss and your testosterone loss. So all of that is helping to things just aging. It's aging. And then you've got your post-menopause. So like I say, once you've done your 12 months free of a period, you then post-menopause, and you still get symptoms. People think the menopause goes away.
Yeah.
You will find some people are in the menopause for, I think, 28 years apparently. Some women in the 70s and 80s are still in the menopause because they're still getting the flushes, and that's because they're probably not eating things that help to keep the body at optimum. So there's not as many symptoms, but this is when you could get lots of urine infections because your body's just not absorbing certain things, like lots of hydration and estrogen. So it's about trying to put back in the phytoestrogens in if you don't do HRT. So with postmenopause, you get symptoms, the lesson like vaginal dryness, recurrent cystitis, frequent going to the toilet, painful sex, hot flushes, night sweats, anxiety and low mood. So they're still common in postmenopause.
So there's a really, really wide range of symptoms. And like, as you've already mentioned, that's not to say that everybody that goes through the menopause is going to experience all of them, or even, some people might hardly experience any of them. It's a really variable experience, isn't it, for all of them? I guess the main takeaway there is like, it is a long list, and some of them will not be so well known. And if you are experiencing something that you haven't been able to get help with, and you haven't been able to kind of understand what's going on, then potentially a menopause support coach could help you do that. Could help you try and understand what's going on and get a better handle on it. So we'll go back to support in a moment, and we're going to talk about what we can actually do as well. But just before we get onto that, so what can we do to feel well? You've mentioned a few kind of mental well-being symptoms as well as the physical ones. Could you just give a little bit more info about that, what you found with the women that you've supported? What kinds of things are people tended to experience in terms of their mental health?
I guess it's that thing, how you differentiate, the mental well-being, sadness and depression, because, people do have taken their lives through the menopause, and that's because they become so depressed and feel that there's no way out. So, we can feel sad, and we all feel sad. That's an emotion once in a while. But if you regularly feel sad and you're feeling hopeless or tearful or empty, then we're starting to look at, this is more exacerbated. And I guess it's around women feeling like, they may be doing high-powered jobs, not feeling supported in the jobs, not feeling supported in the homes, not supported by the family life, or just being isolated, not wanting to go out. So that mental well-being, and it's coming also from the fatigue and the tiredness of, if you're dealing with hot flushes and night sweats and you're not getting enough sleep, that can impact upon your mental well-being. But depression, I guess people that are predisposed to depression, maybe postnatal depression or having anxiety and depression, will maybe find the menopause even harder because they're already predisposed to feeling anxious.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm finding. Women are getting to the end of the tether and they're like, I really don't know how to cope. And that we don't want women to get to that.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so
I
that
guess in there
really...
also it's that trouble concentrating. You're not making the decisions. Memory loss, memory lapse, the brain fog. That's all. That just feels as though, you know, you're losing your mind when you're not losing your mind. It's just probably you're tired. And we all get a little bit slower as we get older.
Yeah.
And that can cause some women to really, really go into themselves and withdraw. And then they just self-neglect, and we don't want anybody to get to that point.
No, definitely not. And we do know that hormonal changes have a massive impact on like the brain, and what's going on in our brain is then going to have a huge impact on our kind of mental function. And then, you know, if we can't function, if we're feeling like we're not kind of mentally functioning as we're used to, we're not feeling as sharp, or we're feeling foggy, or we're finding certain situations are causing us anxiety, that's potentially going to make somebody feel it's going to affect their mental well-being, isn't it? So those hormonal changes that affect the brain can have a direct impact then on somebody's mental
definitely
health.
And that's where the doctors do some tests, like they do a testosterone test to see how your testosterone is, because sometimes it's not licensed here in the UK, but they do some off-license testosterone if women feel that they need it.
Right.
So there's lots of different HRT treatments, hormone replacement therapy treatments. And there's pros and cons to it. But I believe also that women can thrive without all that added extra if they want to. I guess it's choice, personal choice.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And you know, clearly hormone replacement therapy has probably helped a lot of people who've been through some really, really, you know, challenging,
tough times,
difficulties. But there will be women out there, and I know that you know, I'm not going through the menopause, but as I'm thinking ahead to it, I am feeling like if I do experience symptoms that are really tough, my personal choice would be to try. And not have, and that's just a purely personal choice. It's not, you know, it's just the way that I feel about it. And I wonder if I was in that situation, like, what would I do? You know, so what are some of the things that we can do to help us feel well and combat some of these symptoms? What are some of the things we can do naturally to try and thrive?
Well, I think, you know, I think sometimes it chooses you, because I mean, I've got to 52, going, well, nearly 54 now. And I think it chooses you, because exercise. I mean, and I'm not saying to people go out and run a marathon. From my own experience, I mean, in my 40s, my 30s, I took up running. Right. The alcohol, because alcohol exacerbates your hot flushes, but it also helps the weight gain. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I don't drink as much now, let alone at all. I'm not saying to people, I'm teetotal, but it's in moderation. So exercise is a big, big key to staying well, bone health, and changing up the exercise, as you know, as a PT, you know, changing up the exercise, eating well. So I've become a vegan, not because of the menopause, but because my gut wasn't processing the meat properly. So helping yourself with your food choices. So it's sometimes you've got to do that detox, taking things out, which dairy doesn't work for ladies in the menopause. It's all these things are going into the gut and they're not processing how they should. So, sugar, a big no-no. Refined sugars, processed foods. So you want to be cutting those out. So how I eat now is a lot more vegetables, fruit, veg, soy, linseeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, walnuts, Brazil nuts. Yes, you will gain a little bit of weight, but you can then counteract that with doing the exercise. So I'm eating loads of different fruits, greens. So it's the spinach, the kale, pak choi, which I've never had until about 2 weeks ago.
Love pak choi, it's great.
I've never had it until. So it's in strawberries, blueberries. I've got antioxidants, as well as being one of your 5 a day. Pineapple, and then for your testosterone, there's so many things: sprouts, garlic, broccoli, you've got prunes, apricots, and these are dried fruits that I've now just started putting into a little bowl, because I was starting to get like a little bit of a headache, and I was thinking, is that something to do with the menopause or not? And I don't like to always attribute all the symptoms of the menopause. So it was like hydrating. You've got to, as much as it's cold, in between every hot drink, I try to put a couple of 100 mils, maybe 200 to 300 mils of cold water in there. So you're keeping that hydration up. A guy at work who was a doctor said to me, all these hot drinks can sometimes dehydrate you. So as much as you hydrated, the heat of those hot drinks. So he said, you need to drink more water. And I've noticed that the headaches and that have started to, they've just gone again. Yeah. So it's about how we eat. So you've got to put a lot of other food in place of the processed foods.
It's really interesting to hear, because what you've just talked through is basically like the laundry list of most of the changes that as a nutrition coach we would recommend most people to make, but I would especially recommend to people in their kind of 40s, 50s and onwards. So, you know, switch into, as much as you can, a primarily whole food based diet. So your fruits, your veg, your healthy fats,
your avocados,
low release smart carbohydrates, minimally processed food, minimal excessive refined sugar. Those are all the changes that, like, we know they're good for us, but we definitely know, and there's a strong evidence base to show that it's even more important as we get older, as we mature. So,
and you can you choose like coconut oils. Caribbean people, we can still eat the food, we can still eat the yam, the sweet potato, and actually wild yam is supposed to be really good for menopausal women.
Right.
So yeah, wild yam. I put turmeric. I know it's not the right turmeric, it's cooking turmeric, but I put that in every smoothie going with cinnamon. And people look at me and I just feel like my sort of like asthma and everything has been so well controlled along with the menopause by just making these changes. And obviously I've had PT with yourself, which has been fab, and I took on a lot of that on board. And the protein for vegans is tofu, tempeh, or tempura, and things like that. Your chickpeas, edamame. So there's lots and lots of choice out there. And I'm not telling people you've got to become a vegan either. You know, you can buy better cuts of meat and eat less red meat, but just buy better cuts of it, grass-fed, and what's not the corn-fed one, the other one, free range. Free range, if you need to eat eggs, free range eggs, free range chicken, and that all gives you the protein that you need for your body to keep going. But you need your phytoestrogens, and I put flaxseed.
What's a phytoestrogen? I've heard that word now.
So phytoestrogen, so like, you know, when your estrogen is leaving your body,
is leaving the body,
so or is like you've got your flax seeds, your linseeds, and chia seeds. Fantastic. So they help to balance you back through.
Right. So there are specific groups of foods that will specifically help with counteract that hormonal imbalance.
Your estrogen and testosterone, because your progesterone is the baby making one, which we don't need after.
Don't need that anymore.
Hopefully when you're after your 50s and 60s, hopefully not. So yeah, it's your estrogen and your testosterone.
Okay.
You need to keep the cortisol balanced, because obviously diabetes is another thing. We become more insulin resistant as we get older as well. So that's why we've got to take the sugar, cut back on all that.
Take the refined sugar. Reduce the refined sugar. So you've got those. So you've got seeds, like healthy fats and seeds for your phytoestrogens. Hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you are.
Are there any other specific kind of groups of foods or types of foods that have been shown to be obviously we're talking about a generally whole food based diet, like we've established that that's a good idea, but as well as those seeds, are there any other specific foods or food groups which are especially helpful?
Well, oats, like your porridge oats, organic oats, right, definitely. Dates, you know, things like that. It's anything that you can find that is wholesome, and which has got to be better. You've got the wheat, and if you've got wheat and balanced things like that, go to gluten-free foods. You know, try and get
so reducing wheat, reducing dairy. And is that due to the changes in the gut and it being harder?
Changes in the gut, it's trying to keep the gut healthy, so that we can process out everything that we need, like our estrogen, our hormones need to leave the body.
Yes.
You know, and if your gut's not right and it's leaking and they come back in, this is when we find that we have lots of other issues. And it's not good for the estrogen to come back into the body. It needs to leave, and then you just replace it with the whole foods, your whole foods.
Yeah. And we know, don't we, that when our gut is not so healthy, or when our gut the diversity of the microorganisms in the gut is not so good, then gluten, so gluten is found in wheat, but it's also found in rye and barley as well.
Yeah.
We don't really have a lot of that in the kind of Western diet, but it does, that's another place where you can get gluten. So wheat, rye and barley. And we know that when the gut is struggling, it's just harder to process. So I guess that's why some people might experience more kind of digestive issues, gut issues through the menopause as these hormones change.
And bloating.
And so on. And the same with dairy. We know that if the gut is struggling a bit in terms of its function, then dairies can be difficult to process. So perhaps if somebody is going through digestive issues with the menopause, then reducing those things might be
definitely.
And refined sugar.
Yes, definitely.
They're the groups which are difficult. If the gut has to work hard, they're the things which are going to cause
so much stress.
Going to exacerbate too much stress on the gut.
Yeah.
Okay, so so we talked about some of the things we can do to kind of look after our health. We talked about exercise a bit, and obviously just to reinforce, as you said, Paula, particularly strength building exercise is really good.
Yeah.
Women going through the menopause and women, you know, in our 50s and onwards especially, but before, you know, if we can make sure we're building strength-based exercise in our 40s and kind of getting ahead on that, we're going to have that base of fitness and that base of strength. That means that we can keep doing it, which means that as our bone density is going down, we're kind of ahead of the curve a bit, and we're not starting from a low fitness base, trying to work our way back, which is much harder. So by strength-based exercise, that it might be with weights. You know, I've done a lot of work with you, Paul, haven't I, with dumbbells and kettlebells and all the rest of it. It doesn't have to be, though. It can just be using your own body weight as resistance. So push-ups, sit-ups, anything where you're sort of pushing, squats, anything like that where you're pushing against your own body weight can help as well. So
I've now got a 9 kg kettlebell.
Excellent. Brilliant. We'll be using that after New Year for sure. All right. Okay, so we've talked about, so it's about whole food based diet, supporting good gut health, plenty of hydration, plenty of exercise, reducing wheat and reducing dairy and reducing sugar, particularly if you're having sort of gut issues, digestive issues. Right. So I think that we've sort of covered the main recommendations. Is there anything else you'd want to add to people in terms of top tips? And I know that you've got some particular supplements and products that you use sometimes as well to support that whole food-based diet.
Yeah, I have got core products that I use, and when I was going through the palpitations and needed that calm and from the anxiety of the menopause, I started taking something called Inner Calm, the ashwagandha and saffron, and that has got so many different benefits. It helps with mood, it helps with the libido, it's anti-aging, it helps to bring calm, and it's a really nice tea to drink warm. So the skin elixir, fantastic. I also believe the collagen, from day one taking the collagen, that helps with your obviously replacing your lost collagen, helps to give you because it's got hyaluronic acid in, so that helps to give you that glow. But it's also good for gum health. It helps with your digestive and your intestines. It also helps
hair
with
health as well.
Hair health, but also with your joints. When people say they've got joint pain as well, it helps with your joint pain. So it's got a lot of other properties as the collagen.
Brilliant.
And also I take a gut microbiome every day now, because I believe that my gut was leaking really at the beginning of the menopause, and I just really bad indigestion, really bad wind, and I don't mind, you know, saying, and it was just really, really bad gas. So one day I was in work and I thought I was going to die. It was just that really
painful.
And for the last 2 years, people have noticed the difference in the way I look and just move. And I just think it just helps to keep the whole of your system going. So like you want to thrive. You know, it's seeing women thrive and know that they're being helped to thrive just by a few simple changes. Yeah,
brilliant. Okay. And if people were interested, so you mentioned a gut health supplement, a collagen supplement, Inner Calm was the other one you mentioned as well. And then there's also Energy Fizz, isn't there, that people can use?
The Energy Fizz.
We're both massive fans of Energy Fizz, which is gonna, so again, it's added to water, and that's going to help with hydration, because it's making sure you're having a good big drink of water whenever you take it, and it can help relieve some of that fatigue that you might experience.
It does.
as part of the menopause as well.
It's got the vitamins in it. It's got the key vitamins, vitamin B6 and vitamin B12. So vitamin B12 is iron, and the vitamin B6 is for mood and energy.
Super important.
And it's got ginseng in it as well, obviously with that, you know, the caffeine, but the caffeine isn't the same as a coffee caffeine where you get that come down. This actually gives you a really good high, and then you don't notice there's no come down from it. So
it's just like a nice gentle energy boost. I think it's only 55 milligrams of caffeine in it from the guarana. And it's just like enough to give you a little bit of an energy, but not so much that you feel like you're on the ceiling.
No,
you don't get that kind of emotion that you experience with coffee as well. So that's a few suggestions there for supplements. And if you'd like to know more about any of those, then either one of us can tell you more about that. And then in terms of if somebody would like more support, you know, if they're struggling through the menopause and they would like some coaching, they'd like some more support about what their own kind of, because obviously everybody's situation is going to be different, isn't it? We've heard that the range of symptoms is so broad that everybody's experience is likely to be, you know, might be quite unique. What can they do, Paula? So if they want to get more support from you about thriving through the menopause, how can they get in touch with you?
So I offer about a 45-minute consultation, which is free.
Lovely,
and
amazing.
I offer a consultation just to talk to them, see where they're at, and then look at what they want to feel, how they want to feel, and what they want to do. And I can offer some coaching, one-to-one coaching for up to 4 weeks. So that's a developed package, and do lots of start with meditation, because I think people need to get calm. So meditations, affirmations, and then looking at where they're at and just having a general chat with them to see where they're at, support them where they're at. And then so that's about 4 weeks, because usually after 4 weeks, and they can do them every week or every other week, if they want to work with me after that 45-minute consultation. So
lovely. Great. Okay. And similarly, if people are watching and they feel like they need more support with their nutrition, so trying to develop you know, a diet that, I don't mean a diet as in a restrictive diet, I mean a nutrition plan that's going to support them either through the menopause or before, whenever, at any stage, then absolutely that's something that I can support with as well. And if they feel like they need support with an exercise plan and some advice on fitness, perhaps some personal training to try and get that strength building in, and you know, potentially support with weight loss and weight management as well, because that we've talked about how that can be a challenge for some women through the menopause, then I'm here to help with that. So whatever's going on, I'm sure between us we can support anyone that feels like they need some further help. So what we'll do is when we send out the recording, we'll make sure that both of our contact details are in there. Feel free to get in touch with either one of us or both of us. You know, we talk to each other all the time, and we'll just, if you're not sure what kind of help you need, then, you know, between us, I'm sure we can work it out and work out a way to make sure that you get the support you need to thrive through the menopause, because that's what we want everybody to do.
We
Brilliant.
do.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you so much, Paula, for joining me as my special guest this evening.
No, that's fine. And just the key takeaways.
Yeah, great. That was my next question. What are your top tips, key takeaways?
Key takeaways. Women, put yourself at the top of your own leaderboard. Get lots of rest. Eat well, stay hydrated. Cut back on the alcohol, ladies, unfortunately, and caffeine. Exercise, including weights for health and bone density. Amazing. Meditate and do some breath work, and talk to someone. Don't bottle your feelings up. And vitamin D, if you're vegan, it's vitamin D3. You need your vitamin D, and magnesium and zinc. For those that suffer with sleep, magnesium, glycinate, and zinc is found in lots of foods. So we can all help you thrive. And they're just some of the tips. Yes.
Amazing. That's brilliant. What a perfect place to end. Thank you so much, Paula. Thanks everyone for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. If you're not sure what you need and you just want to reach out and have that initial chat, we're more than happy to do that. You know, there's that free consultation offer is there from both of us. So don't feel like you need to have a plan. We can help you make a plan if you're not sure what you need to do. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody. Take care. Bye.
Bye.